government records.
No,
the
I know.
The FOIA request was created by a private citizen.
But it was still submitted, so if you FOIA the FOIA, do you get another FOIA in return for the FOIA?
It's a never-ending cycle, man. It's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, I'm going to guess that they're not, just because that was not a document that was created by the government. FOIA is meant to release documents that were created by the government.
Can you FOIA the FOIA for the FOIA?
That is the question. That is what would shed a lot of light on that whole thing.
FOIA the FOIA for the FOIA's FOIA.
It could just be an endless loop of FOIA requests.
Did that happen just now? No.
You're looking at now. Whoa, when does this happen?
When does this happen in the movie? Now. Now. Everything that happens now is happening now. What happened then?
Now.
You missed it.
When? Just now. We're at now.
All right, so
No,
Furball, you
still can't make another movie.
You have been admittedly out of the loop, and you asked an interesting question when you got onto the panel. You wanted to be caught up. Yeah, what have you missed? At what point and what area would you like to get the catch up on?
I probably am so out of the loop that I don't know which of those questions to ask. There are the known knowns and the unknown knowns.
Okay, what are you fairly comfortable in knowing that you're close to caught up on and aware of?
Oh, I'm aware of slightly aware of NDAs, slightly aware of agreements to be interviewed, but certain douchebags forcing you to go through mods because he's too good to go to you direct. I watched a little bit of the link that you sent earlier, but I think that's off topic. Or for this particular stuff.
For this segment, yes, that is applicable for after the catch-up.
And a lot of allegations of supposed ongoing investigations. Some of which that we were just talking about. I don't even know the name of the person that was on that link. I don't know who they are.
Yeah, you'll see that a lot. A lot of scattershot. A lot of, oh, well, these people have to be behind it because they're masterminds. Mind you, this mastermind that they keep pointing to admittedly doesn't know how certain functions on certain programs work. He needed his chat to tell him how to zoom in on the text of a Google document so the audience could read it.
Also, allegations of harassment on platforms people aren't on.
Yeah.
So, Jared, what you're telling me is basically he had to have the chat tell him how to do a function similar to this.
Oh, it wasn't even on the website. So if you open
No,
up,
I know what you're talking about with Google Docs. I mean, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah, and this is supposed to be a criminal hacking mastermind that is also a cult leader.
I've always wanted to be part of a cult.
Just stay away from the Kool-Aid, Furball. Stay away from the Kool-Aid.
But it's so good.
No, let's not
Oh wait,
go to
it actually
Kool-Aid,
was
please.
Flavor Aid, but you know, tomato, right?
And I have to check. I think we're there was an agreement made a couple weeks ago that looks to be ending in the next few hours unless something miraculous happens.
I haven't yet to see anything on that. Let me go take a look to see if anything's popped up on the community page.
Yeah, because the people who keep doing insane shit really pay attention there.
Yeah. I saw one on Twitter and I messaged it to Reds, but I haven't got any info back on it.
That's because last weekend a message was sent You need to keep up your end of the bargain, or the deal's off. And guess who hasn't stopped saying the same old shit?
It's not just him. There is another one.
So are we talking?
Money found it.
Yeah.
And now you know why I haven't looked at Twitter in the last year.
Twitter has its bright spots. It has its cats and otters and other cute, fluffy animals.
Oh. For as much as I've tried to stay away from social media the last 2 weeks.
Oh, fuck. I'll just get up Twitter. Because I can pull it from there faster.
No, it's actually easy to avoid that shit if you don't give a fuck about most people.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna tweak the window here just so it's I'm gonna do my whole display instead of the usual just window. And let me delete that. So this is the most recent post from this person. Although I just realized I clicked on it now, it defeats the purpose of what I was trying to do. Oh well, I was trying to be nice.
Yeah, well, some people only have themselves to blame.
Well, I am... I need a place to send this without it being public. The picture.
You can send it to me on Discord if you need to.
Yeah, it won me.
So, but other than that, it has been the adventure in stupidity that is very circular. Same arguments coming back around, same requests for people to support what they're saying. Those people then either pivoting off to something unrelated or just straight up ignoring. You know, you really haven't missed anything groundbreaking other than someone missing yet another court date in...
Yeah. I did see a very lovely clip of Unirock wherein he stated that KJ was making all kinds of allegations and saying that there's 5 women that were accusing Steve of harassment, and Steve didn't know who they were, and Steve didn't harass anyone, and Katie just keeps saying all this stuff, and you can't just go on your stream and say something without providing evidence. Oh wait, that was actually like a year and a half ago he said that, and then he kind of did it himself.
There you go, Jay.
Yeah, it's almost like it's convenient for them to call out the behavior, but not when they're doing it. When they're guilty of it, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. But
Yeah, that clip was beautiful because it was basically a master's class in his channel.
Yeah, don't do this because that's what I do. Don't do this because that's my thing. Don't do this because you're going to be taking things away from me.
Because if you just go on your channel and say all these claims without providing evidence, you're not an investigative channel. You're just a drama channel. Oh, wait.
Which he is. It is very similar to the saying that don't become a thief. The government hates competition.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're all former servants of the government.
And how do you think I know that there is truth behind that statement? I have seen it firsthand.
I am literally an agent of the government. Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry, that's me bragging, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Hey, he's not the only government representative here. I am too.
I may be soon.
Yeah, but but Furball literally has agent in his job title.
Fair enough.
Hey,
That is true.
Furball, I do have a question for you, sir.
I will make up an answer.
Okay. Where would an investigation, if an investigation started against an individual in the Army, where would it be? If the origination complaint was in Dallas, which CID office would handle that?
Anyone
If
else
it was
have
in-
an issue fucking listening to that?
No.
That would depend on when. So it happened in Dallas. What time frame are we talking?
Within the last 2 weeks.
So current. Would that...
I don't have. We have a worldwide
Would that
map.
be Fort Hood or?
I don't know. I'm not sure what office covers Dallas. I can find out.
Well,
Not that I can find.
It's no biggie.
I cannot find out. I cannot find out about the investigation. That's not what I'm saying. I can say which
I'm not
office
asking you to
covers
find out.
death. Yeah, I know. I'm just making sure that's
Yeah.
clear. That way, it doesn't get clipped somewhere.
No, that's what
I'm not saying I can.
That's what I want.
Yeah. I'd have to double check.
Give me a second. I can find it for you.
We have a map. It's an internal map. It's an AOR.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a area of responsibility map, and it does change from time to time. Every couple of years, it changes as different offices change size or bases close and open.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, what's the most local Army posting to that would, that would have a CID office?
And that would be, in that case, it would probably be Hood, would it not?
Yeah.
Does Hood have
I don't.
CID?
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at the CID.army.mil site right now, and you have a Fort Hood CID office,
Fort Sam Houston, Fort Bliss.
Fort Bliss. Yeah, so it'd probably be the Fort Hood.
Be either Fort Hood is Sill on that? Fort Sill?
Yeah, Fort Sill's on there as well, but I might. Give me a minute. I'm gonna see if I can find the AOR map.
Sorry, Furbo.
Because that's not something that's a public record. The actual map itself.
Yeah.
I would hope it's not.
Well, that's not like a proprietary or a big thing because it changes frequently. I mean, you can call the Fort Hood office and say, "Hey, I'd like to report a crime for this location," and they have the map and they go, "Oh, that's not us. That's Fort Sill. Here's their phone number."
Scroll down to Texas. Here's Carolinas, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, does Fort Hood have a CID office? Dude, seriously, just Google it. That Fort Hood has caused a 100% reorganization of my employer. Fort Hood got a
Yeah, Hood does, Bliss does, Joint Base San Antonio.
That's Sam Houston.
Yeah. Grand Prairie. There is a Dallas fraud resident agency.
Fraud.
Yeah.
That's just fraud. That's major procurement fraud. That's like $1 million contracts.
Yeah, that's contractors.
That probably wouldn't be that wouldn't be this then. So Grand Prairie would be out, and Grand Prairie is the former Dallas Naval Air Station. For that. Because they still have that.
Copy these. Are you still on Discord?
Not the 11th MP Battalion. That's a headquarters.
Yeah, that's.
I was just going to give them everything. Let him figure out. Are you still on Discord, though?
Yes, I am on Discord, so I'll look it up later. But, yeah.
I can just send it to you.
It's odd seeing just 3-digit DSN numbers. But then again, I've never paid attention to the DSN numbers till I was overseas, and everything has to be a full routing number then. All right. Oh, but yeah, we have one other order of business.
One other order of disorder?
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
Depends on what it is.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Have you taken the time yet there, you wished?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
And?
You want the long or the short? The long of it is that quick fire predates burn by over a year.
Oh, really now?
Yes.
From what source?
From both Burns and from Quickfire.
There's no Burns. It's Burner. And from
But it
what
predates
source? As in, what source is it
From
that's
their
actually saying
internet,
that?
from their internet pages, Leon.
The same internet pages where you can find stuff where there's been a court case from Burner against Quickfire of Quickfire trying to use the name and log type.
Yes, that's a completely different case. You're talking about trademark infringement at that point. You're not talking about the actual product.
Which, with the product, are we still talking about the same product?
We're talking about the fire starters, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Which the fire starters that you said that it wasn't the same thing in the Burner ones as it was in the Quickfire ones or Quick Survive ones.
Okay. And they are two different products. One predates the other. Quickfire predates Burns. Okay.
Do you have a source on that?
That is from both their, look at the company origination dates.
I'm actually trying to find the origination dates right now. And where did you find that information directly? Which? Well,
that was sent directly to me. Right? That was sent directly to me when I had questions for Ashley and others. That information was sent directly to me. Not currently.
Because if you want to go with that as well, Burner, with the stuff on their website, there's only one fire starter that can be called the original, and that is ours.
You know, well, Hydrox predates the Oreo, and look who calls itself the original. That says absolute shit to me.
No, but with this, you say the stuff that's been showing on the websites. I have no links to that. Do you have the links? Can you show the links?
Not currently, I cannot.
Can you give the information as to where to find it?
I can send you the links that I was given. Okay, but without going
Those
to
are
my
the links
email,
that I wanted.
Those were the links I was given. Period.
Let's go company database.
Ring my bell to be a special subscriber.
Don't tease me.
She's out in the audience. But she does say her hands are full. I'm sorry. So, let's see. Let's see what this comes up with. So it looks like Burner is based out of the UK. Is that what you were?
No, Denmark. Both of them are Denmark. With Quickfire being by 30, based in Denmark.
So why did my search for Burner take me to the UK?
Because you're in the US?
Probably.
Because if you want to look at it, Burner is in Vandensbergvej 30. 2605 Brøndby, Danmark.
Company. Quick. Yeah, these Yeah, sometimes you got to be leery of some of the information from where the source is coming from, but you still have to evaluate it for the information itself. The whole thing, never take anything at face value. Just because something feels right and fits what you've been saying doesn't automatically mean it's right.
That'd be confirmation bias.
Which is something that everyone here should be trying to avoid.
Yep.
Which, if we want to look at when these are actually established, etc., 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 Burner was established 19 years ago.
That's what I was trying to find out, because just trying to find the company history, because if you are a publicly traded or in any type of incorporated company, that information is in a database somewhere that has the origination date of when that company was founded. That's what we're looking for.
I'll be honest, I have literally no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, it is a question of which product came first, because there's conflicting information about it.
I don't even know what products you're talking about.
It's
It's a fire starter.
no, quite literally a fire starter.
A thing to start fire. Is it a twisted one?
Yeah.
No, they're both pouches that
Are the companies public though?
publicly traded. I don't know. Even if you're not a publicly traded company, if you are incorporated at any type, where you do business, where you were founded, has to have record of that founding.
Oh,
So-
there'd be record of it. I'm just saying that it's generally, it's not quite as out there if it's not publicly traded.
Yeah, it's in a database somewhere, but if it's on a piece of paper in a business record, a county business records office in Podunk nowhere that doesn't know how to spell computer, it's not like you can get the record.
Oh, no. At least in the U.S., the lowest level they go with these incorporation and founding records are the state level.
State. Yep.
Which, looking at this here, those two companies, Quickfire was started in December 2003. Burner was started in 2002.
Yep.
That's not the information I was given. Okay. So if that's the case, then I'll bring that up with those at Quickfire. Quick Survive now.
And this is still going away from the other point where you said that the other ones wouldn't be able to burn on water.
Have I tested burners yet? No, I haven't. I'm still waiting for Amazon to drop some off it.
You've already been given a video about it.
Am I physically capable of testing the video myself?
I can't test your shit myself. I gave you a video showing the exact same thing that you have been doing.
Yeah.
Which you
And what I saw
wanted to
was
see
a
it burn on the
product
water.
Right?
You wanted to see it burn on the water. There you have it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. I saw it. Does it mean I get to test it? No. Okay.
So does it mean that I've given you the video that you requested? in regards to
You gave
does
me
it burn
you
water?
gave me a video. You gave me a video showing that, right?
That's all I've been getting from you too, there.
Right. Well, if you want to test my product against your product, we'll go ahead. We'll go do a head to head.
Who's paying for airfare?
Hold on. I have to agree with Karis here. You should not be around anything with fire.
Shut up, Chris, just because you know where I live.
I think it has less to do with that, but okay.
So did everybody watch the required video for today?
Yeah.
I started it.
Was there a no from anyone or a not complete from anyone?
Not complete. I got about 15 minutes into it. It's also the Navy, so that doesn't necessarily matter to me.
Oh, there are bits that would matter to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Sadly.
interested. I just got preoccupied by the event that I was going to tonight.
Mm.
I would like to provide an update on me and visiting Navy boats. So recently visited a new boat. I'm sorry. So we were up visiting a shipyard, visiting a ship that had not put to sea yet. And as we're on the radio and doing our stuff, somebody mentioned blah, 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 blah. And then we'll be going to the boat. Or no, everything's good on the boat. And I got back onto the radio. It's a ship, not a boat. Just as kind of a joke, just to carry it on. And then as I was getting ready to go on the ship, I'm standing behind the captain and telling my story.
Hang on. Let the story finish first.
So if you remember, last year I went on the USS Bonhomme Richard, the ship that caught fire.
The Bonnie
and
Dick.
Twice, while within earshot of the captain, I referred to it as a boat, and he very politely but tersely, it's a ship, not a boat. Told Jared he has been rubbing it in, as well as Karis, ever since.
I just haven't had a chance to.
As I'm getting ready to go on this other ship, and the main cadre of the ship are right on shore, and I'm telling this story to someone else, like, yeah, we visited the Bonhomme Richard last year. I referred to it as a boat right behind the captain, and he turned around and tersely informed me, but politely, it's a ship, not a boat. Well, the captain of that ship, who's 2 feet in front of me, overhears it. She turns around and just kind of smiles. Yeah, I wouldn't have corrected you. Every service has their own little idiosyncrasies that the other ones just don't understand.
She does have a point there.
Yeah.
She does.
But it's still fun. If you're going to be in the area, at least try to learn the basic jargon and lingo.
And I corrected somebody on it. You should be proud of me.
I am. I am impressed that you actually did that. But the question is, how many people started laughing because you were the one to correct them?
Yeah. Nobody was around me, but it was all on radio, and nobody that was on this mission was on that mission. So damn it.
So what would have made this story even more funny, Jared, is if it turned out the ship that he was going on was actually a submarine. And
yeah, those are
No, it was not a boat. It was actually a ship. And I've got to complain that in this job over the past year and a half, I've spent more goddamn time on ships as an Army soldier and 0 time on Army bases almost.
Well, it's all about who you're tasked with.
That is a fact. I've spent more time in airplanes and on ships and boats. I've been on boats. And hardly any at Army bases. I can honestly say I think I've only been to one. I think I've only been to one Army base.
they're trying to convert you to be ready to be an NCIS officer when you get out.
No, there's that, but there's also the part that someone might have heard his story where he initially wanted to join the Navy.
Oh, fuck you, Jared.
So they're
Fuck
trying to
you.
reward him for that.
Yeah, I tried to join the Navy years ago, and I couldn't join the Navy because I had asthma. So I joined the National Guard, and my recruiter told me to lie. So I joined the National Guard, and then 20 years later, the Army sends me to fucking ships.
Yeah, sometimes it works that way. But before we get into reading this recently unclassified document from the chat, from the Ravishing Karis Crane, Furball, the Navy doesn't matter to you? Grrr.
God damn it. God damn it. God damn it.
You don't
You're a sailor at heart.
Somebody. No, I only have one comment to make. Is Furball, you're going to be headless the next time you see Karis. It's just it said if you're going to fight off.
I thought that was a foregone conclusion.
Could I ask a question of you Navy types, please?
Yep.
Okay.
When does a ship's boat stop being a boat and start being a ship?
That is a valid question.
Okay.
That if I can I
Let's
give
see
me
if you
30
remember.
seconds?
Let's see if you remember.
A boat will lean into the turns. A ship will not.
That is the bare bones minimum, yes. The list
Yes!
during a turn. If it will lean in at a slow speed turn naturally, like a sub would do, it's a boat. If the list is outboard of the turn, it's a ship.
Yes, but
Okay, that makes
sub
kind
is
of
still
sense.
technically a ship.
Although, Jared,
There's actually a historical reason though why submarines are referred to as boats. So
Jared.
Okay, story time. Come on.
okay, the historical reason behind it is that the earliest subs actually required tenders, like they launched from tenders as opposed to like being independent, solely independent vessels. And that's generally the Navy concept of a boat is launched from a larger ship.
Jared,
Okay.
doesn't this make most of the StarCraft in, for example, Star Trek style boats?
But again, go with that historical connection. When you go to that level, you're going more with the historical. So a
You still have the
runabout.
shuttles.
A shuttlecraft would be the equivalent of a boat or a captain's gig, captain's yacht.
The star boats.
The shuttlecraft would be the boat, but the actual full commissioned ship like Voyager, the Enterprise, or anything of that ilk, those would still be ships because they are completely self-sufficient.
So
The star boat Rio
what original submarines were tended by a ship?
The Holland
All
boats.
of them.
The Holland
The
boats,
Hollands,
the Bushnell.
Okay. I'm not in the Navy. Don't yell at me. So the original series of submarines, what time frame are we talking about?
Oh, we're talking about like early 1900s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably not until about 1920s ish when the S boats were coming out.
Yeah, I would definitely say World War One.
World War
1900s, 19-teens, you know.
Yeah, World War One on, they were more self-sufficient to be ships by that historical definition. Prior to that, they required to be actively supported by a surface ship instead of just being able to pull into a port. That's where the technological difference is late
they would
1800s, early 19.
Yeah, they would deploy with a tender, and the tender would kind of be their support structure. And we still have submarine
tender or tinder?
Yeah, tender. No, tender.
Tinder. So like the small boat.
Tender.
So the smaller boat is
tenders aren't small.
trying to find a date.
No,
Yes.
not grinder. Not grinder.
Well, that's definitely the Navy. Yes.
No, that's the Air Force. Not the Royal Air Force, just the U.S. Air Force.
Oh, thanks.
And the NR1 was actually always like that. So.
And by the way, good to see you, Alan. It's been a long time.
I know. Well, my medication changed, which changed my sleep patterns, which means that I'm no longer necessarily as awake in the middle of the night as I used to be.
Oh God. What's this, Leon?
Starboat.
Oh, God.
Jesus.
I have a feeling it's a diagram of the ships that Mel Brooks had a hand in at the end of History of the World.
No, it's not. Hold on.
Better or worse?
Depends on your artistic appeal.
Oh, that bad, huh?
No, not that bad. Just different than what you would be expecting.
You're thinking actually artsy, not sarcastically artsy.
I know Karis would appreciate this.
Yes, she would.
Well, have you looked at the image yet? I haven't because...
I have.
Okay. Okay, yes, that is art. Yeah. That does classify as artsy. All right.
Ah, fuck's sake!
Hey, when it comes to you, it can go either way. It could be totally tame like that, or it could be, hang on, let me shut off the screen share for a moment.
Oh God, that's what's coming in next on my DMs.
I like the next one even better.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Hang on. All right, there we go.
Google kick.
There we go.
Oh no, this is just fine on its own.
The Russians were even ready for it.
All right.
Oh, one of these days I'm actually gonna have to hook up a camera so you could see me shake my head. Oh, God damn it!
Wait for it.
Not wrong.
Nope.
This is all I'm going to be able to think about now when we watch Star Trek and then on the runabouts.
And yes, the runabouts would classify as a boat in that aspect.
All I can think of now is Spock, Kirk, and McCoy in a canoe going row your boat.
Gently.
Ever thought of singing row your boat?
That is arguably the only good thing about Star Trek V.
Jared, that last picture which showed the model astronaut pickup boat, I thought the astronauts were picked up by one of the old Essex class carriers.
Well, so they had the lifeboat out there to get them out of the craft to where they could then be tethered up by helicopter, which then took them to the carrier. Oh, God damn it. Oh, all right.
I know it was one of the Essex boats.
Yes. Because...
Sorry, ships.
I think the Intrepid was one of them. Was actually one of the most prominent ones.
Yeah, it was one of the fairly famous World War II Essex class ships.
Hey, Jared.
Yes.
If I may for a second, I think this encapsulates at least half of the things that I've missed. Athens says, Jason said something dumb, but it's not his first, but he never cares for that facts. And then Karis follows up, Jason said something dumb, and water is wet. Next.
That is the best and arguably only way to respond to when that particular voice says something stupid.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, and the sun came up today?
Yeah.
It's like I go on Twitter. It's like, oh, look, Jason lied again. Okay.
Tell me something I didn't know. Okay,
I'm waiting
Sean.
for the obligatory remark from Reds first.
Yeah, he'll unmute in a second while I say to Sean Carroll, that is the second good thing that came out of Star Trek V.
Can we all just beg Reds not to turn on his camera, please? Please.
Oh, you would
Please.
like that, wouldn't you, you slut?
For the children, please.
No. If we move to a different website, then you can turn on the under the desk camera.
Oh,
Does it have a macro lens?
one of those GoPro wide-angle ones. Waterproof, of course. But yes, obligatory disclaimer. I am not military, never been military, never claimed to be military. Okay, done. So, who said something stupid?
Who do you think?
Well, there's plenty of people who say stupid shit on a daily basis, and it's beginning.
It's one of them.
I mean, it's like you got to narrow it down.
Oh, Furball, we have a request for you to verify that you put the pieces in the correct places.
I'm not that far into it, and also, Sean Carroll, fuck you.
And that one there looks like it's in the wrong spot.
I'm not in the middle of a large build at this point.
And you're still mostly sober.
Yeah, mostly.
So
I'm halfway done with my first drink.
Did somebody say a macro lens?
Oh, god damn it.
It's macro lens, not macro lens.
Tomato, tomato.
Oh, that's punny. I love it.
Well,
Anyway.
I tried to make a living doing that, but unfortunately the camera would always spontaneously burst into flames. I don't know. They said they would fix that. I don't think they're going to.
Yeah,
You
and
didn't put
also the
enough Vaseline
website
on
is
the lens.
the website is called OnlyFans, not No Fans.
Actually, it was it had something to do with donkeys, but I mean, if you want to go there,
I'd rather not.
No kink shame.
Yeah.
no, Jared,
What?
you'll love it. They have all kinds of different donkeys. Like they have amputee donkeys, they have midget donkeys, they have midget amputee donkeys. Whatever floats your goat, they got it.
You just have to throw. Actually, since you're here, and I know how to frame and word these questions, have you gotten a reply yet?
Absolutely not. No, I've been waiting a fucking week, and it's been lovely. Lovely being put on the back burner, but whatever.
What time was the actual deadline?
Well, there wasn't really a deadline. It was more like, don't fucking ignore me. So I sent the message in question a week ago on Saturday. It's now Saturday again. Well, the end of Saturday. So it'll be Sunday in a few hours, and I still haven't heard shit.
Hey, Reds, did you get my DM too on Twitter?
I did, and that's kind of the messages that I'm referring to. I'm sending these out. I'm not getting any response, and shit's not getting done. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So
let me say something here. Is that to that end, I will try one more time on Sunday. I know I'm pushing my luck on this one, especially with my friends who are giving me all the time in the world, and I love you people for it. I'm getting just as frustrated as you are, honestly, on this shit. It's like, come on, what the fuck?
Well, again, I think you made a good point on it. A certain thing needed to be phrased a lot better.
Oh yeah, most definitely. My thing is that I'm literally telling people not to defend themselves, and that's kind of a dick move on my part. So I'm like, unless we actually get something in return, I don't see that as fair in any way, shape, or form. So it's like, hey, if we do a deal, if I go to Walmart and I hand the cashier the money, but they don't give me my shit, that's unfair. That's bullshit. And I feel like I'm getting ripped off in the same exact way right now. So we will wait and see.
That's no. That shouldn't be for shame underneath. That should be Red's wake-up routine.
That's what it translates into, Jared.
Oh, okay.
The paper bag is very itchy when I sleep.
Well, let's be honest. If anyone goes in there when you're asleep, they're begging for problems.
Oh yeah, definitely. Also, I see the thing that's being said that's very stupid. Here's a thing. When the judge makes it a thing, it's not illegitimate. So fuck off.
Here, you want me to blow this up for you, Jared?
Go ahead and zoom in a little bit. See, I could read the first two. It's the response there. Let's file that under things that are actually impossible.
What? Okay, so from the law enforcement perspective, yes, there is a possibility of this. There is a chance for this. The problem is that Kyle. Could you bring that back up, please?
Oh yeah. I'm just trying to switch it over. Give me just a second.
I just want to make sure that I've got the right proper mental context on this.
Have you had enough alcohol yet?
No, he can still put Legos together.
That's so breaking news. Kyle is handling a false warrant. That is incorrect. There's no such thing as a false warrant. If a warrant is sworn out by a judge, it is an active warrant. The pretenses could be false. The warrant itself is still 1,000% valid. That was given under false affidavit, thrown out. Has it been thrown out? Reds, has it been thrown out to your knowledge?
No.
Then it's not thrown out.
Actually,
Yes.
I can tell you exactly, because unfortunately, there's this invention called the internet, where you can go to the look at that already beat me to it. Congratulations. The affidavit was one single thing. So if you can please go to the dockets and please go to ECF number 65. This is what the dockets, this is what the affidavit actually says. I have reason to believe that this piece of shit motherfucker is not going to show up because he hasn't shown up. That's
okay.
not
good. That's a very good paraphrasing.
Yes, I believe this motherfucker is not going to show up because he hasn't shown up, and I would like for you to make it so that he has to show up by taking the choice out of his hands.
So then let me see if I can clarify this. This warrant is not about filing false documents with the court, correct?
This warrant, no, it's for failure to appear.
Okay. So this warrant is not, you can go back to the tweet.
Okay.
This warrant is not about anyone filing false documents, correct?
Correct.
This warrant is not about anybody filing false statements with the court.
Correct.
This warrant is not about any criminal activity that somebody is accused of doing.
Correct.
I'd also like to know how Kyle is handling it, because let's think of this in the legal context. Okay, Kyle can't have gone there and be handling himself because, well, he would have been arrested.
That was my next point that was coming up.
He also can't have had a lawyer going there because there's no way the lawyer could not have identified where he's at, because the lawyer cannot aid and abet his client avoiding a warrant.
So this warrant is solely for Kyle not showing up at court, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So whose affidavit would be false about Kyle not showing up?
The judge's.
So, and what Eric was just saying is that for Kyle to fight this for an active warrant, he would have to first show up.
Correct.
Which would result in him being arrested.
Yep.
At
Correct.
which point, yes, he could fight.
I'd want that body cam footage, though.
What he would here's what transpired. So there was a first hearing. He didn't show up. So there was a second hearing. He didn't show up again. There was then an affidavit from Steve saying, I don't believe that this piece of shit motherfucker is actually going to show up. I request that the court issue an order for arrest.
Okay, wait. Jared, sorry. Reds, pause there. You two sound alike and you look just as ugly. So Steve did file an affidavit to support this warrant, correct?
Yes.
Yes, we just looked at that.
And that
Actually,
affidavit...
no, not this one. That was for the previous one.
That was for the initial warrant.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
that's for the initial one.
So for the initial warrant, the affidavit that Steve filed attested to the fact that Kyle hadn't shown up for court. Not about the false documents, not about the court case, not about anything else. His affidavit was the other party hasn't shown up as ordered by the judge.
Correct.
Correct? How is
Correct.
that false?
You tell me.
How is that false?
Literally. The first one says I'm simply over the age of 18, but number 2 says I have received nothing from Mr. Curtis. Curtis failed to appear for number 3. Curtis failed to appear for number 4. No communication from Curtis on number 5. I have reason to believe he will not appear on his own, number 6, and then signed. That is it. That is the entire affidavit.
Silverfish will be reported for filing the false affidavit and lying to get Kyle gelled. End of report. What false report or affidavit?
He didn't show up, so basically the affidavit reflects what actually happened in front of the judge. He didn't show up. End of story. Therefore, a warrant for his arrest was issued because he didn't show up. End of story.
And actually, for utmost clarity, the judge requested that Steve and his lawyer submit that as part of the procedure to issue said warrant.
Correct.
The judge wanted this done.
Correct. Yep. When Steve's lawyer arrived to court and Kyle, of course, didn't show the fuck up, surprise, surprise, the judge says, okay, I need your client to submit an affidavit supporting a warrant for his arrest to be issued. So Steve turned into the Flash and ran to the nearest notary, got that shit signed and faxed over, and it was uploaded to the dockets the same exact day.
I'm not on the legal side. I'm on the law enforcement side. So I'm very curious as to why Steve's involvement was even needed in that. I don't understand that. Why couldn't that have been the court alone? But I'm from the law enforcement side, not the legal side.
That was specifically for, because the first warrant was a warrant. It was basically a bench warrant for his civil contempt not showing. The current warrant now, just the one the judge issued without asking for an affidavit, includes the civil warrant from before as well as the criminal contempt.
With these warrants, it's this. It's
so the previous one was just because it was just civil.
Actually, it was marked. The first one was marked also as probable cause that defendant may fail to appear, criminal contempt.
Yeah, both are listed under criminal contempt. And
why does that require Steve?
And also, well, it was what the judge wanted. We're just following what she said. But what it also says in the order, which is going to be, let's see. Number 11 is Mr. Curtis has been warned and is again warned here that the punishment for each offense of criminal contempt may be censure, imprisonment up to 30 days, fine not exceeding $500, or any combination of the 3. So it'll be any combination of the 3 for both of them. And then it says the court will hold a preliminary hearing on the 13th of August, 2021. courtroom, whatever. Mr. Curtis is ordered to appear to show cause why he should not be held in criminal contempt and sentenced in accordance with this fucking law for his failure to follow the court's 13th May 2021 order and the June 30th 2021 order. So both of them states explicitly it's because he didn't show up. His failure to basically get into contact with fucking anybody, he's basically ditching the court, and that's not cool.
Has nothing to do with criminal acts performed elsewhere.
No, the only criminality in this is criminal contempt for not showing up.
And the only reason why it needs Steve's involvement to begin with, Furball, is because it stems from a civil action. So Steve actually has to go file with the court to get that contempt charge rolling.
That's just weird to me. I understand it because, from the law enforcement side, it is a cop that swears to the warrant to try and get action taken. So I get that. It's just weird to me.
Well, because it's a civil action, the way that it works out is that Steve has to play the role of police officer. Hey, he's not showing up in court. He's not going to show up in court. And
this probably
judge in court.
This probably sounds weird. This mostly sounds weird because it's starting at civil, and it's also weird because this shit just doesn't usually happen.
And I guess I'm going through the mental process of trying to understand it because it is a major shift in gears for me. But on the cop side, it doesn't matter how involved a prosecutor is. It doesn't matter how involved a judge is for approving prior warrants or anything like that. It has to be someone that is looking into the event to file the paperwork with the court because the court has to be impartial. So for the judge to unilaterally take action on it for something that didn't happen in the courtroom, they do. I guess they do have to have someone else bring it to them. Otherwise, it's them taking overt action that removes their impartiality.
Right now, it's the affidavit in question, and the two warrants are literally about a single thing, and that's his failure to show up. So, in order for
they're both show cause. So.
Yep.
I think
show up and fucking show cause.
Yeah. He would have to make the claim that the judge was fucking blind because keep in mind, the only reason we submitted this affidavit was because the judge said, this is what you need to do at this point. And we were like, okay, because this shit happened in front of her. So Steve has to be lying. Steve's lawyer has to be lying. The fucking judge has to be either blind, dumb, stupid, fucking whatever, or lying herself in order for Uni's tweet to be truthful, make any sense, that kind of thing. Quite frankly, Uni's just talking out of his ass.
As far as I could see,
you don't say.
Yeah.
The only thing that's not already a matter of record in the court is Steve's statement about not having had any contact from Kyle or Kyle's lawyer.
Yeah, well, Kyle doesn't have a lawyer. Kyle's previous lawyer decided to kind of get the fuck out of Dodge, and rightfully so, because Kyle was lying to her. And she, being the professional that she is, wasn't going to lie for Kyle. So she decided to get the fuck up out of Dodge, and like I said, rightfully so. But the entire affidavit means that, look, I have gone through all of these procedures. I have jumped through so many flaming hoops. I have done my due diligence, and the only person that hasn't is Kyle. He was told to show up. He didn't. He was told to reply. He hasn't. He was told to do something, like something as simple as updating his address with the clerk, and he didn't even do that. It took us hiring a private investigator to find where that motherfucker lives so that we could serve him a second time.
I could even be generous and say, okay, let's say Steve is lying. This is just hypothetical. I'm just saying. I'm not
Yeah, which
using
means
Steve
the
lying.
judge was also lying.
Right. So no. I'm not talking about any of this stuff with the. Let's say Steve was lying about not having any contact with Kyle. That's the only thing that isn't like specifically like matter of, absolute fact here. Let's just say Steve was lying because everything else was done in court, so we know everything else is true. But just assume that. Well, if that's true, then that's when you would show up to court to show cause by demonstrating that you were in contact.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, it's all this. I don't think Uni understands. Yeah, no shit there. What the affidavit was actually about, because I don't believe he actually read the damn thing. Kyle didn't show up. In fact, if Kyle did show up, then like I said, that would mean that Steve would have to be lying, the lawyer would have to be lying, and the judge would have to be lying. It's like, no, that didn't fucking happen. And when the judge told Steve, you need to file this, and he did, he was simply following the process. So
because at that point in a criminal case, it would have been a cop doing the work that Steve did.
Yeah. So where this motherfucker gets off saying that Steve lied on his affidavit, I mean, I have no idea. I just don't know. So yeah, he's talking out of his ass. He's lying, and he's just trying to simp for Kyle for some fucking reason.
Because that's a good idea.
All he's ever done.
Did not Rock or Unicock or whatever we call him nowadays? Did he not reach out?
I can barely hear you. You sound like you're underwater.
That's normal.
Yeah, pretty much. Hang on.
That's better.
Try again.
Well, didn't Unirock reach out to Steve on Twitter this week or last week? I forgot. I saw one where Unirock had reached out to him.
I have no idea.
He was reaching out to Steve because Steve was doing a show. Steve said that he would be willing to have him on, but the conditions that Uni puts on other people to join him, he put to Uni, which meant Uni had to contact one of Steve's mods to get on the panel. Cheshire was already on the panel and is one of Steve's mods, and Uni can't talk to a woman.
Mm-hmm. So, but getting back to this, it's literally a single question about a single issue. Kyle showing up. Did he?
Yeah.
No. Has he shown up yet? No. There were multiple hearings that he was ordered to show up for, and he didn't. So the arrest warrants are for that alone.
Hasn't he only shown up twice? One hearing and the deposition?
He showed up for the deposition, yes, and then he showed up for the very first hearing we ever had on this, not in person, but through counsel. So that does count as showing up if it's through counsel, and this was over a Zoom call. And
was the deposition in person? Just curiosity.
The deposition was in person, yes.
And that's where he refused to log into his bank account?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that story.
Yep.
So what happened was that Kyle made the claim that bank statements and bank records prove that he was living somewhere because he was paying rent. So they said, okay, well, we want to see evidence of you making these rent payments. So Kyle then said, I'll get that to you later. Well, actually, since you're so confident about this, I have a laptop here. It's connected to the internet. I would like for you to log into your Discover account, and we can look at the statements together, and then we will say for the record what we see. Kyle refused to do that, saying, I'm not going to show you my private financial documents. Then the Steve's lawyer said, okay, here's what we'll do. I will leave the room. I will leave the room, and then when we come back into the room, your lawyer can speak for the record on what she saw on the computer screen. He refused to do that as well.
It's about
And
that
then-
point in time that I believe that Scotty was probably formulating in her mind like her motion to withdraw.
Yeah, basically
that's when she was preparing her exit strategy.
She was thinking, you know, I need to go back to the Fast and Furious ejectocito and fucking get the fuck out of Dodge, and that's exactly what happened. But anyway, so the next thing you know, we get our subpoenas back, and the account within the date frame where it's actually relevant to our case, the Discover account didn't even exist.
Dun dun dun.
You supposedly are referencing a Discover account that didn't even fucking exist.
But Uni said Kyle showed that to him.
Yeah.
So did Menace.
He said he
Menace
saw that.
He logged in and everything.
Yeah,
Yes, you have that correct.
Fucking lied. Straight up fucking lied. Basically, he referenced an account that didn't even fucking exist. And that's why he didn't want to log in, because it would have shown a beginning date of any transaction history, which wasn't the date range that was actually relevant. So, yeah. Yikes indeed. And that's when Scotty Forbes Lee, Kyle's ex-lawyer, submitted a motion to withdraw, and basically Kyle had an opportunity to argue against that. Kyle didn't argue against that, and so her motion to withdraw was granted by the court.
That was about the time that Scotty was reevaluating her life choices and decided that she had made some poor ones.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want to slam
It depends
Scotty
on whether
in
she
any
already
way.
got paid or not.
Yeah. She got her money. She got her money. But the idea was simple. It was, if it became so apparent that this motherfucker was lying, the right thing to do would be to withdraw. Scotty did that, and did that with class and by the book. I have nothing but respect for Scotty.
So we got a live look in Uni's Discord right now.
Nice.
It's a gigantic what the fuck moment. But it gets even better, because when we started going after Kyle, like legit, nothing was getting done. There was constant delay after constant delay after constant delay. Well, finally now we're actually getting somewhere with all of these hearings. So he was supposed to show up. He was supposed to show up to one hearing, didn't show up. Okay, fine. We're just going to try again. No arrest warrant was issued. So the next hearing comes around. Kyle is again warned, you better show up for this one. And he doesn't. So that's when the warrant for arrest was issued, when Steve McRae said, listen, he didn't show up before. He hasn't shown up today. I haven't heard dick from this guy. I would like for him to be brought in. So that's when the arrest warrant was made. So then the next court date comes around, and he again doesn't show up. And so a second warrant for his arrest was made. And all of them under criminal contempt. So he can eat a dick.
It sounds like Kyle is trying to get more prison cred, basically.
I don't know, probably, but that's exactly where he's going. Now, supposedly.
I got to tell you though that you're not going to have much prison cred if you're in there for having failed to appear multiple times in a civil case.
And let me just highlight something here.
Well, you may score just slightly above the pedophiles, at least. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Well, this dumb motherfucker is literally ruining his life, both legally and financially, over a YouTube channel that he has stated multiple times that he doesn't care about.
Yeah, if he doesn't care about it, why is he still hoarding all the login information?
Exactly. Literally, all he has to do is comply with our demands. The demands that, by the way, were backed up by the court. So that means hand over the Non Sequitur Show account, hand over the Twitter account or the Non Sequitur account on YouTube, on Twitter, on Teespring, wherever the fuck else it is. I think it's also on Spotify. I don't know for a fact, but it might be there. But anyway, just turn everything that is non-sec related over to Steve and be fucking done with it. Wipe your hands, walk away, job done. You'll still have to, spend 60 days in jail because of your dumbass, but, take a 60-day vacation.
I've got a question.
I understand it may be difficult without constant access to Burger King, but
before all this, the worst he had to worry about would be having like some judgment against him. It would be hanging around his neck financially.
Eric, that's what my question was going to be. And it's a thought experiment for everybody. Is that literally, other than going to jail and all the stuff that goes along with that, what is the worst case scenario of Kyle turning the channel back over?
He loses. That's it.
But I mean, yeah, it's not like we're going to suddenly discover that he's Hitler and he's been murdering people for thousands, for the last year and hiding the bodies. The worst case scenario is he spent all the money. We know that.
Yeah.
He has no books for everything. We know that. That the channel fucking tanked. We know that. What could we find that is worse than we already know?
Furball.
Well,
hang on. Let me answer this one.
No, Jared. I would prefer you don't. BM, I'm gonna have to talk to you privately about that because it does get pretty bad. At least.
Okay.
Because here's the thing.
Well,
I can't really go too far into it, but I'm just gonna let you know, BM, it is bad. There might be a very good reason why he's fighting this tooth and nail.
From the late 90s to the early 2000s, he had a long string of making poor decision after poor decision after having looked at his criminal history.
I'm just wondering
so
what
this is really no different.
Worse. But I will anxiously await a phone call at some point, Reds.
If you're free tonight after we're done shooting the shit here, I'll give you a call. But yeah, Jared, I'm gonna ask you as a friend and as a brother, shut the fuck up.
I wasn't gonna say it blatantly, but
I know you weren't. I don't want any fucking hints, motherfucker.
I mean, I would have said the worst that could happen is that everything that he allowed. That Kyle allowed, Godless Engineer, and anybody else that got on the channel after he kicked Steve off would disappear. That would all disappear. Probably, because I don't want to say Steve would do this, but I can see Steve doing it just to get rid of that history on that channel.
See, this is my opinion on what should be done with the channel. In my opinion, everything after Steve McRae was, robbed, essentially. He wasn't kicked off, he was robbed. Okay. Everything after that point is not non sequitur. Everything after that point, I think, should be nuked to fucking oblivion because that's not non sequitur. Non sequitur was Steve McRae and Kyle Curtis working together to make a successful show. And it was. But now Kyle has forfeited his right to that channel by acting like a colossal prick.
Yes. And I agree with that.
So everything up to that point is legit, and I believe it should stay. But everything after that point should be taken down and smoted from the earth because fuck that shit. And we should start the process of making new, interesting content. That's what I think should happen. Now, I have no control over that, but that's what I think should happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing is that this has been going on since right before my heart attack. It was like a week.
Which one?
The first one.
This case is older than COVID.
Well, I mean, yeah.
God, it is.
True.
Holy shit, it is.
Hey, my heart history is older than COVID. Okay, let's face it. Okay. So you know, I mean, I can see where, you know, and I was there that night that everything transpired. There was supposed to be a show, then it ended up over where Kyle was going, no Reds, no Reds, no Reds. We're not going to do this. Nope, 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 nope. We're not going to get into this right now. No, we're not doing this. I remember that.
Yeah.
Because I was sitting at work watching it. And I was like, holy shit, he just stole the whole fucking thing.
Yep.
And I was like, you know, and Reds, you and I, we've agreed to disagree. Correct? Yes or no? And this is you wish, by the way, not just so you remember.
I no disrespect, but I don't remember.
We had the gun
You
debate
had
over
a
here.
debate with him.
I did.
Yes.
The gun debate.
Oh.
Oh,
no.
yeah.
You.
Yeah.
Oh, that.
Love that reaction.
I said no disrespect. I'm not trying to be a jackass here.
You're not.
Just,
No disrespect taken. No offense taken. Okay.
Just slipped my mind.
Just like I said, I have a lot of respect for you. Okay. Because I view this in this one realm. I view you and I view Steve as right in this. Okay. But I remember I remember Kyle going, no, this is not going to happen tonight. We're not going to discuss this tonight. And you were trying to get everything back on even keel. You did your damnedest that one night to get everything back on even keel. And it was like the following week I had my freaking heart attack. And then I got the glorious shit shows of the abomination that Kyle Curtis turned it into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you know, and that was what pulled my subscription from Non Sequitur to begin with, was because it was no longer a program that I had any interest in.
Well, at the time that the blow up was happening, what I was trying to do, and I will fully acknowledge, I failed miserably at this. I was trying to suck Kyle's cock a little so that he would.
Did you say suck his cock a little or suck his little cock? Just want to clarify.
Both are true statements. Both are true statements. Okay, BM?
Just wanted to clarify.
I appreciate it, but both are true statements.
Damn.
So I was trying to get him to kind of calm the fuck down and understand that I'm not trying to attack him, even though at the time I fully believed that he was in the wrong here. But I was trying to let him know that, look, I'm also on your side. I can shit on Steve McRae too. And look at me saying Steve McRae was doing things wrong. You bad motherfucker. It didn't work. It didn't work. He still decided to be like, no, fuck you guys and sue me. And so we did. So see how that turned out for him. But I believe that even though he didn't want to have that conversation that night, I think he had already made his decision, and it didn't actually matter what we said to him that evening.
Yeah.
So I believe
I have moved twice since then.
Yeah, I know. I believe he had every intention of taking the channel, stealing all the money, and just hoping that Steve McRae would, cut his losses and move on. But unfortunately, player 3 entered the game, i.e. Ruhif, and Bob's your
There's
uncle.
a correction to that, Reds. It's not steal all the money, because I think at that point it was already gone.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. That is
yeah.
true.
I think all that took a trip up Kyle's nose in the form of white powder.
I'm not making suppositions on that. I'm just saying that the money was already gone at that point, and once you have
BM.
Yeah.
Well,
I need you to do a thought experiment for me, okay? I need you to imagine a Daytona International Raceway, okay?
Yeah.
I need to now in the parking lot. I need you to imagine a lifted Chevy pickup with mud tires.
Okay.
That's
all
not
right.
hard.
And then on the back, I need you to picture 2 flags. One of them the Confederate flag, one of them the American flag on the back tailgate.
Again,
okay.
not difficult.
Okay, and then after that, I need you to imagine on the roof of the lifted Chevy pickup with mud tires at Daytona International Raceway, it says General Lee on it.
Yep.
Okay, the cocaine is that white. Thank you.
Wow. Red, how much time did you spend down in Florida?
Way too long.
He was
Way
born
too long.
there.
Damn, that was good.
Jared, was he really?
You could have moved it over. You could have moved it over to Talladega and been more poignant, but yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Daytona gets more of that fresh white stuff. It's closer to the port access.
Yeah.
Oh God. So, but yeah, I think it went up his nose, or he was using that to take these trips to these conferences that he obviously couldn't afford. It's like, I'm going to use the non sequitur money to take these personal trips to pretend that just me and no one else is non sequitur. I'm like, oh, fuck off.
Did he go to like YouTube cons?
Dallas. He went to the atheist convention with Shannon Q and a few others.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Needless to say, not a good image right now. He's trying to, or he was trying to pass off that he was non sequitur, that he did all the work, that he came up with all the ideas.
He has an invoice to approve it.
It's like, dude, first of all, this was a partnership. Second of all, if you wanted a break and if you were overworked, just tell us and you would have gotten a fucking vacation. We can easily run the show. Fuck. And the thing was that we had the bull. We could make the show look good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was what was the name of it?
Faithless Forum. Yeah.
Yeah, Faithless Forum. And he was there representing non sequitur and hanging out with a bunch of people to get some additional street cred. See how much that did for him.
Yeah.
I believe that he honestly did not believe at the very beginning that Steve would sue him. Legit. I believe that Kyle was of the opinion that Steve would cut his losses, says there's no reason fighting this, blah, 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 whatever. But unfortunately, Kyle made the mistake of pissing off Ruhif, and that's where Ruhif came in and said, I got this. Let's sue this piece of shit. And that's exactly what happened.
Let me ask you a question, Red. Okay. If it came out that Kyle, the whole reason why Kyle is snowballing the court, and that's basically what he's doing now. Okay. If he's worried that Steve would file charges of embezzlement, would Steve go that far, even though Steve has that option and ability to do so? Would Steve go that far? Would he personally press those charges?
We have actually spoken about
I would
additional
say that's a question. There's a difference between that question today and that question 2 years ago.
I'm talking about today.
Yeah, today. What I do know for a fact is that Steve, we've spoken about this, and I'm going to answer both versions of that question. At the beginning, Steve just wanted his fucking channel back. He had no desire to see Kyle go through any kind of hardship. He just wanted his fucking channel back. Today, Steve McRae has no sympathy for Kyle and wants to fuck him as hard as he possibly can.
Okay. All right.
He will utilize his lawyer to do whatever he can to fuck him up.
And I can understand that. Okay. But if it means getting getting Kyle Curtis into court, and it means getting the channel back and all the financials, if Kyle Curtis met everything tomorrow, okay, would there be a way that Steve could find some forgiveness for that?
I imagine if Kyle groveled, like actually threw himself at the mercy of not only Steve but the court, I can almost guarantee you it would go a lot easier for Kyle. If
Okay.
he was getting fucked before, we would at least spit on it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and
He
I
would
can,
have
I,
to.
I can play.
Let me
I'm
be
gonna
clear
play.
here. Let me be clear here.
Okay.
What he would have to do is he would have to not only apologize to Steve and fucking mean it, but in the process of fucking meaning it, he would start working directly with Steve's lawyer. Okay, what do you need? Here's the password for this. Here's the password for that. And be there to make sure that it actually goes through. Because keep in mind, just getting the passwords is not enough. Because a lot of this shit requires two-factor authentication. So Kyle would have to manually allow the login to go through. So Kyle would have to work directly with Steve's lawyer to push all of this shit back into Steve's possession. So he would have to work directly with the lawyer. He would have to beg for forgiveness. And I'm talking like really, really beg for it. And also cooperate with whatever other requests that we may have. And BM, I'll talk to you about those other requests later.
Yeah. Well, let me clarify. The reason why I'm asking those or that specific question is because, number one, I'm not in contact with Kyle.
Yeah.
Number two, I'm not in contact with Unicock, nor would I want to be. But, I'm saying that if there were a simple solution to this, and there was 2 years ago, okay, there would have been a simple solution to this 2 years ago. May not be today, but if it came in today in the simplest, easiest solution for Kyle Curtis to come in and say, hey, look, I'm willing to just surrender everything. Here it is. We'll get the two-factor authentication changed over so that Steve McRae is in charge of all of it. And I say this for Kyle's benefit because if he ever listens to this, this is the way to go. This would be my personal recommendation. Do this. Give it up, surrender it all, and pay whatever restitution as you can. Because it's not you won't have to pay it all at once like you fear. Because I see a lot of this is Kyle Curtis having to give up a lot of money immediately as soon as the court verdict's handed down. Which is why he's snowballing the court.
Payment plans are a thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Now again, I don't know for a fact. I don't know for a fact, because we're not there yet. We won't know until we actually get there. But if Kyle were to absolutely grovel, maybe we'll have pity on the son of a bitch. But as of right now, Kyle gets no fucking sympathy from me, most especially Steve. And Steve's out for blood. And so long as Kyle keeps fucking around, he's just giving us more ammunition. If Kyle decided to not fuck around a few months ago, we would never have submitted that affidavit to have a warrant out for his arrest because there would be no need. But now that he's given us that ammunition, we are sure as shit going to use it. So that's why he not only has a warrant out for his arrest, he has 2 warrants for his arrest now. And so long as he keeps giving us ammunition, we are going to be more than happy to use it. So basically the question is on Kyle to answer. How badly does he want to fuck his own life up just because he likes to stick it to Steve McRae?
Can I say that this probably just boils down to just cooperate?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just cooperate. If he got his head out of his ass and just cooperated, it doesn't matter what we would like to do in the future. You immediately stop our options at that point. We can probably fuck you up in some way, but the longer you drag this out, the worse it's going to be for you. That's it. Stop the bleeding right now while it's still, I guess, somewhat kind of maybe manageable. Right now, he's looking at 60 days in jail.
To start.
he's looking at 60 days in jail.
If it's not rude, if the judge sits there and says, okay, we're going to hear both of these contempt charges at the same time, you're going to have to serve them concurrent, but the penalties are going to have to be paid, and they assess a penalty of not over $500, wasn't it, Red?
$5,000.
Yeah, it's $500 per
offense.
Per offense, yes,
so
correct.
If the judge says we're going to allow you to serve your jail time consecutively, meaning he's only going to sit 30 days in jail, but the fine is going to have to be paid on each individual charge, and the judge assesses, say, $250 for the first and $500 for the second, and then the censure hits, then Kyle's only made his life worse. Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I'm saying this from an aspect of I've been through a civil procedure. Right? I've had to have the attorney. I've had to have all that because I was accused of saying something on a forum that I didn't say. I just happened to be 1,000 anonymous whatsoever that this individual found out who I was. Right? So I was sued in Ellis County a number of years ago. My attorney and several of the other attorneys managed to get together and get the case thrown out. And the individual that filed the charge, basically, I don't even want to assume how many forests had to be cut down to see the amount of paperwork that he filed. But this guy filed motion after motion after motion after motion after motion, and some of them are duplicate, triplicate motions. At least Kyle Curtis has not turned sovereign citizen on us.
Well,
yeah,
at least not yet.
Maybe
yet.
Maybe he has, which is why he's not showing up, because he doesn't recognize it as an actual authoritative court.
Well, yeah,
I do not consent.
Well, he doesn't.
It doesn't matter. Your consent isn't required for this action.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's what it says in ECF number 69, which was on the 19th. It was posted, and this is from the court. Reading it right now. It says any combination of the three, and this is per offense. So if it's not exceeding $500, so you put two of them together, that's 1,000, 60 days in jail, and then censure. The judge could essentially throw the book at a son of a bitch, and that all depends on what he does now. I bet you that what's happening right now is that, and again, this is based on what the lawyer has told us. The lawyer has told us that the judge is not very happy at all.
I wonder why.
And the last thing you want to do is piss off a judge.
Yep.
So I believe.
Is someone peeing?
No.
Just checking.
I believe the judge is going to throw the book at this guy. I believe that 100%. The judge is going to throw the book at this guy and be like, you have submitted forged documents to my courtroom. You have lied under oath. You lied during your deposition. You didn't show up when you were supposed to show up. Yeah, fuck this guy. Because
I would like to show a trend here, and this is a trend by assumption. So the assumption is that the judge is going to throw the book. Based upon the judge's actions so far, we can accept that as a very likely scenario. But what we're saying in that aspect is that, one, he's pissed off Steve so much that I'm going to burn you to the ground. And he's pissed off a judge so much that I'm going to burn you to the ground.
Yeah. 100%.
You haven't just pissed off a private citizen at this point.
No, you've pissed the judge off, which is never a good thing.
Oh, he's also pissed off his own lawyer, which is why she left. So he has been able to piss off every single person that has been involved in this case. He doesn't see that as a bad thing. I mean, or if he does, he just doesn't give enough of a shit to do something about it. To each their own, I guess, but holy fuck, there's only so much fuckery that you can do, because keep in mind, The reason why it's gone this far is because he submitted forged documents to the court. He forged his ex-boyfriend's signature on bullshit rental agreements to make it appear he was living someplace else because he was served at his mom's house. Well, I wasn't living with my mom. I was living with my boyfriend. See these rental agreements? Well, come to find out, those rental agreements were bullshit. The signature on it was forged, and that's what the deposition was about. The deposition was to find out who was telling the truth. Was it Kyle or was it Kyle's ex? And it came to find out that by him refusing to back up that he was actually paying rent in the date that was actually relevant to the case, it showed a severe weakness in his story. He was not confident in the bullshit story he was trying to sell. And then when the subpoenas came back and we found out that at that time frame the account didn't even exist, it was at that point that we fucking got him. And at that point,
there is a possibility
it was downhill from there.
There is a possibility that there are bad actors at some point in this, other than Kyle. We're gonna under the assumption that Kyle may be a bad actor, but there's a chance that Steve is acting on pure malice and not evidence. There's a chance that the lawyer bailed because they are a shitty lawyer and don't know what they're doing. There is a chance that the judge, for whatever reason, doesn't care, is a shitty judge, and is acting in the way they are in bad faith. But even 2 out of 3 shows that something's wrong here. Even if Steve is an asshole and Steve is acting out of pure malice and not acting in good intent, you can't expect that both the judge and Kyle's lawyer are also bad actors.
Yeah.
There's a chance one of the 3 is.
I mean, it's this. Let's hypothetically say that everyone is out to get him and blah, blah, blah. He is sure as shit not making things easy for himself by actively not going to court.
That is correct.
If you want to start the process of clearing your name and setting this shit right, show up.
And when you show up in good faith with the ability to support your claims.
What I believe he should do is exactly what we all been saying. He should just give it the fuck up and just take the L. Okay, you try to go after Steve McRae. You lost, like so many other people that try to go after Steve McRae. They end up losing. It's just a fact of life. And again,
get
just
off
take
Steve's
the L.
cock.
I mean, it's just take the L and fuck right off. It's take your wounds that were at this point self-inflicted, Kyle. It's this, and like I said, it just sucks that it has to go for this long because it's been 2 years already.
Again, I've moved twice. One of those was across an ocean.
Hey, I've died once and had 4 more heart attacks after that. So shove it, Furball.
I die inside every day. You've got nothing special going for you.
Oh, please, come on.
You wished. You got to remember, BM is still active duty Army.
Well, yeah, I forgot about his story about the guy with the mushroom stamp and the butter.
The butter. The penis butter. I put penis butter on my bread every morning, right alongside the jelly.
Brad's is going, what the fuck did I just walk into?
Oh, this is nothing. I mean, there was one time where I made a BM laugh so hard that he nearly died.
Nearly.
Now that joke again, it might actually still work.
Let's hear it. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens to you wished.
It was BM was, I think he was commenting about my looks, and I'm like, dude, the looks are actually just the tip of the iceberg because there's so many things wrong with me. It's like, oh, when I hit puberty, it's going to be great. I'm going to have a big flowing beard and my voice is going to be deep. And I was like, that's what I wanted. Instead, what I got was so much ass hair that my diarrhea comes out filtered water.
Asshole.
Oh my
God. No references to assholes right now. God damn it.
Reds, I still say your face is worse than the hemorrhagic asshole of an elephant with diarrhea.
Why are we talking about the Jason again?
Good question. Next question. It's a thing. I'm just kind of over it with Kyle. So if we basically with a warrant out for his arrest, he just has to look over his shoulder, and if he gets pulled over, he's fucked.
Pull over, bend over.
It's like, all right,
Well,
sir,
like
I'm going to have to ask you to try on some jewelry. As you can see, they're bracelets. Yes, they are connected to each other. I'm going to need you, and they're stylish when they're behind your back.
Yeah, but see, that forces him to lean over the front of a police car, and he'll probably think, "Oh, good God, I'm going to get my ass fucked again."
No,
yes, it's been so long.
Apparently, he's a giver, not a taker.
Lol.
He's a pitcher, not a catcher.
He's the kind of guy that would fuck another guy in the ass and not have the common courtesy to give a reach around.
Exactly.
Thank you, early.
Hey, Jared. Can you check our monetization status?
You know what? I haven't checked tonight.
Shall we play a game? Yes, let me get to my laptop. Which means I have to finish smoking the cigarette first.
No. There's something else we got to go over first.
Yeah.
The mandatory viewing.
Yep, please.
Oh, I am really intrigued by that. I know nothing about this, but from the basics of what I've listened to, I am intrigued.
It's definitely something. Well, BM, I'll tell you what. Like I said, once we're done shooting the shit here, I will give you a call and I will tell you all the juicy details. And I maintain what I said last time, Jared. Do me a favor, shut the fuck up.
No, we're good. So
you shut your whore mouth.
All right. So, Reds and Furball, how familiar are you with the USS Thresher?
I am as familiar as the first 15 minutes of the video you guys posted.
Good enough, honestly.
I think I'm not familiar with that at all.
I knew she was a nuclear sub that went down late 60s.
No, yep. April 63.
Oh, early 60s then.
Early 60s.
That's a fucking submarine.
Yes. But no, it's a submarine that sank, taking all hands with it during a test dive. What we have is the recently unclassified report from one of the attempted rescue submarines that was sent into the area to aid in the search when following the loss of contact with the Thresher.
Now, when he says recently unclassified, correct me if I'm wrong, this is literally like breaking news in the subworld.
Within the past week and a half.
2 weeks. It was released on
Last 2 weeks.
What was it?
Last 2.5 weeks.
It was 9th. Yeah, so it was released a couple weeks ago, but especially in the last week and a half is when people have been actually going through it and talking about it, because the story we were told is apparently not what actually happened.
Yeah.
Has there been any pomp and circumstance with this release anywhere other than
people
the
reading
civilian blogosphere? Yeah, I mean, was there any like, hey, or is it just like quietly dumped?
Quiet dump.
Yeah,
I can understand why.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, let me do USS Thresher.
They kind of done fucked up.
Is a tough situation.
Just a bit.
May I ask a question? May I ask a question now? Since when I was listening to the required viewing, I was listening to it and I was then reading a lot of the comments, and there were a lot. Apparently, the Seuss line picked up the sounds of the accident happening and the crash event at the relevant time.
I hadn't gotten that far.
Give me a
I
second.
also wasn't watching the comments though.
Good, yeah, because there's nothing made. There's nothing mentioned of that in this report because this report is from just one submarine. But there were a lot of comments saying, "Well, the Seuss line picked,
Sosis, but yeah.
Sosis line picked it up.
If I may, for just so that Reds doesn't get extremely bored with the random talk. The basics of what I understood in the first 15 minutes is historically, sub went down, fleet went out looking for it. Official report is something happened. Everyone died instantly upon the wreck. We found them days later. This is giving an indication that the sailors were alive in it for days.
2 days.
Afterwards.
Possibly.
Possibly alive for up to 48 hours after the event.
So where
there's
we
a lot of
people
stuff.
died
If we go through this
instantly on the
report,
crash.
though,
Yeah.
If we go through the report, though, a lot of this could actually be false positives.
Exactly.
There's a lot of.
There's a lot of noise going on in there and a lot of layers.
Yeah.
So.
But there were some things that just scream out that were not necessarily false positives. And I don't know how much of this entire report we want to go through. Well, what would set off the main active and sonar array?
Someone pushing a button?
Kind of hard for that to be. I think that's the thing that hit me the most. And actually, it's the channel that I initially heard about this from and saw this from is the one that I shared in the Discord server, which for those who don't know who Jive Turkey is, he is the person that runs the channel called Sub Brief here on YouTube, but does most of his stuff on Twitch and then re-puts it onto YouTube because fuck YouTube.
All that and better monetization for videos versus a live stream over there.
Correct.
So
yeah. So he is retired Navy. He did his 20 plus. He was a sonarman. So when this came out and he started reading it, he was livid.
Oh yeah.
Because even still to say probably even just earlier this year, the story given about the Thresher in sub school is that it did have a failure, resulting in it going below crush depth and it imploding the submarine with a near instant death of all hands.
Yep.
This report from the Seawolf, who was there part of the search pattern, brings that into question.
Yep.
Let me ask. Let's hypothetically say that the accident happened, but the military on the surface knew that they were still alive. What could they do in that case? I don't believe that, or at least I don't know of any rescue options that they would have at their disposal.
Well, Jay, go ahead and pull up the map so we can point out where the incident happened, because that feeds into this.
Okay.
But the biggest thing,
essentially, my ignorant question is this: what could they have done?
Would informing people have had a benefit?
It all depends on location and timing.
Yep.
If you locate the where the incident happens quickly enough, even back then, there were options to at least rescue some of the crew that were still alive. Maybe not all, but you wouldn't lose everyone.
Possibly. I also got to say though that after I read it, like even if the report was true, most of the Seawolf's actions was actually counterproductive to that.
Yes,
because it was constantly trying to send the surface ships away, and coming up, and
having
like,
to start over.
It really,
again.
when it found it, it should have come up, marked that area, and then had the surface fleet come out there and start doing more detailed surveys. And it sent him away. It's just sending off the marker. Unless you marker it, you're not going to get the. It's just a freaking mess.
Well, also keep in mind, 1960s technology versus
today.
80s, 90s, and 2000s, Jay and Eric that we were in. So
it would have been much more difficult to get down there to rescue, but that's where time sensitive comes in, and that's where the Seawolf constantly going in there and trying to fine tune it themselves and trying to send everybody else away was counterproductive actually to that.
Okay, so here is somebody's snapshot of some map that shows various underwater seamounts and wrecks. And here's the Thresher. On Google Map, that would be like right about here, right on the edge of the continental shelf.
Yep.
So how deep is the water there?
Based on the fathoms given for the depth of
or something.
8,100 feet at one point.
Holy shit.
It's my understanding that we didn't have a rescue submersible that could go down there other than a diving bell at that point.
Yeah, that is correct.
So,
but that's where if they had located it, well, one, if the search fleet had gotten there sooner and not had the issues with the location, especially with what the surface fleet was doing above, they could have possibly been able to attempt a rescue. But because of how much of a mess it was and the timing of everything, even though they were able to locate the wreck and locate the scene of the incident with reasonable accuracy that this is what we're looking for, because of those other games, they lost the time needed to attempt a rescue.
Yep.
And that's where my issue with it all comes in, is that they may not have been able to save the crew, given the circumstances, even without those other games that were being played.
Yeah.
But it's how much do you change the official story to people who are arguably in the need to know? And family is one thing, but it's one of those. I would imagine being able to talk to a crew member of the Seawolf who was there for this operation and to hear their perspective of it.
Yeah, that's what I would love to hear. But the the following narrative is logically divided into 4 phases, each of which begins with a dive below layer depth and was then interrupted by surface or coming above the layer for communications with the task group commander and for fixing the ship's position in order to accurately check the location of the data. These phases are called dives 1 through 4, and of them, dives 1 and 2 are the most significant. All times are in Romeo. Okay. Unless actually denoted by a Z for Zulu like it is here. So, on April 10th at 14:39 local, received subfloat 2's message directing Seawolf and Sea Owl to suspend operations and proceed to the latitude 41 degrees 43 minutes north by longitude 64 degrees 57 minutes west to join in the search for the Thresher. And then at 1452, confirmed that they were en route and that the ETA was arriving on the 11th at 0900 local time. And commenced sending their information, yada yada. And so we'll just go past all this to the next day. They copied the Fox and communicated with Naval Base New London. Surface in order to make good speed while communicating with copy many messages pertaining to this operation, making flank speed on the surface. Luckily, weather was nice. And advised the Norfolk who they were, and going over the frequencies that they were communicating with the others in the group at that point in time. They know where they've spotted some potential wreckage and grabbed where they could get it. All have flank received, so we're going to go start dive 1. So they submerged at 10:32 to the datum depth of 600 or 300 feet, with a 20% down angle from 60 to 100 feet. Rigged for quiet, and then changed depth to 400 feet on their EP motors. Calling the Thresher on the UQC, which is the underwater telephone.
Gertrude.
Every few minutes. Yep. Sampled circulated water system for radioactivity of the seawater. Samples indicated 10 times the normal background radiation. Depth 450 feet. This reading was in air, sea enclosure number 4. Went to 500 feet. Went to 600 feet. Went to test depth, still calling Thresher. Came back up to 400 feet. Seawater sample at test depth showed activity 20 times normal background. This reading was also in error, and we knew that it had to be through the enclosure. The SQS-4 had an active target bearing 135 at a range of 2,000 yards, or roughly 1 nautical mile. Contact bearing 130 at 1,900 yards. Dot stacking, Nikki. Dot stacking.
Shush.
Contact bearing 139 at. Oh, they circled around. At 139, 3,160 yards. Contact plot stationary. The reason for the range increases is believed to be that we had 2 contacts on the same bearing and lost the first one when we got about 1,000 yards from it, at the same time acquiring the second one. Our SQS-4 is mounted topside and loses targets beneath us at varying ranges depending on water depth and down angle.
I'm going to interrupt you there. I'm going to head off, but I will be up. So BM, once you're done shooting the ship, feel free to give me a call, and I will provide all the juicy details. All right.
Word.
All right. Talk to you all later. Thanks for inviting me on.
Later.
Okay.
The bearing on that, the sea wolf isn't like your current like teardrop shape hull. It's kind of like the older style boats, kind of like
it's closer to Nautilus in its design.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost identical to Nautilus except for its power plant. But yeah, its sonar was kind of mounted over the bow as opposed to into it.
Yeah. So lost the contact as we closed. Heard 23.5. I believe this is supposed to be a kilohertz tone.
Yep.
Yeah.
On the Rycom receivers and sonar and radio, we have 2 of them, both manned. BQCs in forward and after rooms also manned. This signal is from another BQC. Ours is passive and might be Thresher. Tone is steady, bearing 015. Taping tone signal. 2 Thresher via the Gertrude. Turn off BQC. Turn BQC on and off. We hear you. 2 Thresher. If it is your BQC, send AS. 2 Thresher. Request steady keying of BQC.
Yeah, they're.
Sorry, wife popped in the room. Give me just a second.
Nope. Yeah, and this is, they think they have initial contact. They've identified a contact that is stationary, and so now they're trying to establish comms. Are you who I think you are? Do this. If are you who I think you are? Do this. Is there someone there? They're trying to get some sort of intelligible confirmation, which you're flying blind. You do not have visual identification when you're in a submerged submarine. Duh.
Correct.
So you got to come up with things like this to do the confirmation.
But keep this in mind with some later development. So just gonna say that. Just remember this.
Yeah. So at 12:19, to Thresher, send us a series of 5 dashes on BQC. We hear what may be interrupted keying now, maybe dashes, but no particular number. Echo ranging of destroyers is causing us much interference. At 12:29, at 72 feet, must report to Commander Task Group and try and quiet echo ranging interference. At 12:36, surface sent message to them reporting possible BQC and asking for all active sonar silence. End of dive 1. Still on the surface, sent the report requesting permission to dive. Permission immediately granted. Start of dive number 2. Dive to 400 feet. Start second communications attempt. To Thresher on Gertrude. Quote, if you are receiving my Gertrude, key your BQC. General note, during dive 2, Seawolf completely unplugged and turned off own BQCs to be certain that we were emitting no signal. Basically make sure they're not hearing themselves echo back. To Thresher on UQC, if you hear my transmission, key your underwater telephone. Receive BQC 23 kilohertz tone 3 times on both Rycoms, taping continuous. To Thresher, if you can hear me, transmit on your underwater telephone. More UQC to Thresher, receiving the 23 kilohertz tone. We feel sure that we hear 2 BQC tones, one at 23 kilohertz, very sharp, clear tone, the other one at nearly 24 kilohertz, fuzzy, modulated signal weaker than other. 2 more 23.5 kilohertz tone. To Thresher, we hear your underwater telephone. Please send 5 dashes. All UQC messages to Thresher were repeated 3 or 4 times. Taking water samples for radioactive frequently. See enclosure 4. Try calling the sea owl on UQC to relay the message. Receive tone signal from Rycoms 23.5 on 30 seconds and off 30 seconds. Accurately timed by stopwatch. Taped on both Rycoms, lasted some time. Bearing 230 true. To Thresher, we hear your underwater telephone. If you will send 5 dashes, we'll have positive identification. Send 5 dashes, etc. Frequency shifts between the 2 BQCs are now quite evident. Turning to 230, to Thresher, continue keying your underwater telephone. Turn to 240, present bearing to tone. Now holds signals on 23.5 kilohertz and 3.5 kilohertz BQS 6 sonar, which Thresher has.
Yeah, that's the main radar, the main sonar. This is what really got to Jive Turkey, because that 3.5 kilohertz signal, that's the main array, and it was pulsing on, as if someone was switched it on to active.
Signals on the 3.5 kilohertz are 15 seconds apart, heard on Rycom and sonar and passive sonars. Both frequencies are from the same bearing. To Thresher, send Victor, send letter V, etc. Possible CW transmissions on 23.5 kilohertz. Turn to 215 true, best bearing. 3.5 kilohertz signal ceased. Total of 37 pings heard counted on Rycom. 1427, 2 Thresher. Continue keying your sonar and telephone. We are trying to pass over you. Believe we passed directly over Thresher. At bearing rate on 23.5 of 10 degrees per minute or more, 10 degrees a minute or more. Posit lat 41 by 41.2 north. Longe 65 degrees 2 minutes 2.2. Sounding is 1350 fathoms. If you do the math on that, 1350 times 5 or times 6 is, I believe, came out to 1800.
Little over 8,000 feet.
Not bad.
Yeah. Change depth to 100 feet. We must let boss know. Heard CW on Rycom at frequency 23.5 kilohertz, returning to 400 feet, spiraling down over datum. Hard to get bearing as signal is heard on all bearings. Believe we are over him. CW.
That was 8,100 feet, by the way.
Yeah. CW is very garbled. Everyone listening has different opinion of what letters sent by CW at this time. Tape and sonar and radio letters, which were heard by various sonar operators and radiomen at this time, and after subsequent analysis, are listed in sonar report. At 14:32 and 30 seconds, 2 Thresher, believe we are hearing you. Send CW note. Send us a message. Send us a message. May hear very weak voice on 8 kilohertz over Rycom. This is voice frequency of VQC or UQC unreadable. 2 Thresher, continue CW transmissions. We cannot read your voice. 2 Thresher, request you continue transmissions. We are unable to read you. Repeat. Keying SQS4, 2 Thresher. Send CW, repeat. Sending CW on our UQC to Thresher. May have CW on 23.5, bearing 043. Change course to 043. Tones now bear 225. Believe we passed over him again. Can read some letters but no message content. On top of CW source, position is within 200 yards of that obtained first time we passed over. Tone has rapid bearing rate. Up to 100 feet must report to the commander task group at periscope depth at 1505, surface and sent communication. End of dive 2. So that's the end of the 2 major events where they think that they are hearing they're hearing the Thresher trying to communicate with them.
Now let's clarify CW for the audience here. CW is Morse code, okay, and in the defense of anybody aboard the Thresher, okay, is that not everybody knows Morse code. It's not unless you're skilled in the radio operation, you wouldn't know Morse code, and B is a dash and 3 dots, if I remember correctly.
The biggest thing in the second one, though, isn't even the CW. It's that right there. It's the 37 pings of the main sonar array.
Yeah, and that really, when I heard that, I was like, okay, I can understand them not responding through CW because whoever may have been at that radio control may not have known Morse code, right? And I can say that because I know that there's a crack ton of hams right now that don't know Morse code because, well, it's just not used. It's not used in amateur radio anymore.
That, and you have a lot of people who have a cheat sheet right there. But if you're in a dying submarine down
With
at that
no
level,
power. With
limited power, you might not even be able to see a cheat sheet that's right there.
Yeah.
Another thing too is Main active sonar on any submarine eats up a fuck ton of power.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's been nice to have active sonar. Well, I mean, technically we did because our fathometers and whatnot, and then technically the Gertrude is powered as well, but that was our active.
You didn't have any active at all?
I don't think that we did. I never had any specific knowledge of active on the boomer because we don't.
You guys have it, but it's just like fast attacks. We don't use it unless it's an emergency situation.
Yeah, we have about the only time it got used was in port and tests.
Yeah.
Yep.
In training, yeah. Like I said, it's one of those. They didn't tell me about it when I was getting my ship's quals, because apparently it's I didn't need to know about it. So
I don't think. Yeah, actually, now I'm thinking about like our qual stuff. There's actually nothing really relearned about. Like as part of like the regular quals, there was nothing required for like the sonar stuff as far as active.
Now I was just before we found out we were being converted and we were going to be spending my last 6 months in the shipyards. I was actually going to be qualifying as a sonar operator.
You would have found out about it then, because when I qualified sonar, you cover more then.
Yeah. So
I qualified for it.
So, start of dive 3. Dive to 500 feet. 2 Thresher. This is Seawolf. Send CW. Sent out on SQS4 also. At 540 feet, 2 Thresher. Send CW. Sent more UQCs. No joy of any kind. 2 Thresher. Send CW 3 times in a row. Sounding at 600 feet was 1,300 fathoms. We are 300 yards bearing 135 from Seawolf's datum. Commence SQS 4 echo ranging. Change depth to 400 feet. This had been the depth at which we heard Thresher. At 1624, banging metal on metal heard on sonar bearing 130 BQR4A. Datum bearing 130, about 300 yards, and bearings agree. 2 Thresher, bang 5 times on hull. 2 minutes later, bang 5 times on hull. May have had BQC 23 kHz tone for about 10 seconds. Echo ranging, classified DD. CTG has ordered all ships to secure echo ranging and fathometers. 2 Thresher, bang on hull 5 times, maneuvering to pass over datum. 3 minutes later, again bang on hull 5 times, give us a signal. Air bangs bearing 155. Our bearings at 157. Loud, spaced about 8 seconds apart. 2 Thresher, give us 5 bangs. Bangs heard bearing 157. Loud. He does not give us a number. He does not give us the number asked for. All these bangs were taped. They sounded like metal on metal. Could be sounds from DDs in vicinity. Seawolf and CL crews haven't been warned to be quiet.
But
no DD can be heard on this bearing. Steadying a course 157, soundings 1,300 fathoms, ship's depth 400 feet. Passing over sound source, sounding 1,300 fathoms. DRC indicates that we are 1,300 yards south of datum found in dive 2. Banging is in groups of 3. We wonder about SOS but cannot distinguish dots from dashes. All this is on tape and closed in 3. Hear intermittent weak signal on radio room Rycom 23.5 kilohertz. Commence the Williamson turn. Now hold on, let me stop sharing for a second here.
For those who don't know what a Williamson turn is.
Let me turn on my camera here. Okay, so as you're going along the course and you want to make a quick turnaround, but you don't want to spend all the time circling around. You will start a turn in the opposite direction of what you want to go, and then come back hard around. It's often used in channels more than anything with submarines, but it is a very quick and effective way to turn yourself around.
And one of the biggest things is you end up doing it right. You end up back on the same path in the other direction.
Exactly. You're almost going literally over your own spots. As we had to do that as a part of the training for quartermasters and our trainers at TTF Bangor, going through the Hood Canal and the Hood Canal Bridge not opening up. And there's a very narrow spot where you can actually make that Williamson turn and head back towards the base to moor up until the bridge is fixed.
So basically, 3-lane highway, I'm in the middle lane. I'm going to veer over to the right lane to give myself space to do a hard left to get myself reverse middle lane.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
And you had to give it a stupid name, like calling it a boat. Sorry, shit.
No, we call them boats.
All right. At 1701, active DD sonar bearing 205. Ask Seawell to shut him up. 2 Thresher, bang on hull. Several destroyer echo ranging. Ask Seawell, Sea Owl to have them stop. Tapping sounds bearing 018, 13 seconds apart. DDs are drowning out our sonars. Ask Sea Owl to have them clear the area. Tapping bearing 020, 15-second intervals turning towards. Tapping bearing 023. Sea Owl reports DDs clearing area to the east. 2 Thresher, wrap on hull 3 times. Here, 3 taps bearing 021. 2 Thresher, we heard your 3 taps, do it again. 2 Thresher, bang on hull 3 times. Commence making a square search around datum at distance about 2,000 yards. 2 Thresher, signal us on sonar. Continue to ask Thresher to signal on sonar. You can faintly see it. The last one was at 1735. The continuing to ask Thresher to signal at 1752. Echo ranging 10 kilohertz bearing 180. Classified destroyer. The UKC attempted to rendezvous with CL to send a message to the commander task group. UKC is terrible through this 20% positive layer. No wonder Skylark lost contact with Thresher yesterday. Unless CL is within 1,000 to 2,000 yards of us, we cannot read him. Closing CL at 10 knots. Call CL by UQC, very garbled. I'm up to 200 feet now. Return to 400 feet. Believe better UQC if we're not so close to the layer. Calling any station UQC. Communicated with CL, louder but still garbled. Closing on her. After they get a good, after they get a confirmation from them about relaying the message, they also got a good Loran C fix. That's one I haven't heard of in a while. We'll now return to datum. And the reason why they got the fix from the CL is so they wouldn't have to go back up to periscope depth anyways. And it allows them to reset their inertial navigators.
Inertial dampeners? What?
Inertial navigators.
A little background too. The CL that they keep talking about here, that's actually an old Baleo class guppy conversion.
Yeah, it's
helping there. Just so you know. That actually has some significance to some comments I have about it, and something I think they're misinterpreting here because there's some things that Seawolf was getting wrong, but I'll get at that later.
That's perfectly fine. So continue to use Scripture to Thresher, commence circling around datum. 2 Thresher, bang on hull, bang on hull. At 15 kilohertz echo ranging, this is a DD. Again, ask the Sea Owl to try and clear the area. Due to saturated sonars by DDs, decided to blow sanitaries and carry out other noisy ship functions. Now, we are getting in bad shape. Basically, their poop tanks were getting full.
Yeah.
To say other things. Lind traversing area saturating sonars. She is passive. CL says she's trying to clear the area of DDs. Another Loran fix obtained by CL. Exchange info with CL concerning data we're collecting. Better communications with her relaying to the task group and position of Pinnacle. Seamount reported by DDs this morning. Also, Atlantis 2 hydrographic ship en route to the area. Suggested CL get permission to dive to 200 feet below layer and will stay at 400 feet or below. If we have info for the commander, we can send it to him and he can go to the surface and relay. CL likes the idea, we'll try to get permission. Asked for posit of Pinnacle. CL got posit of the Pinnacle, 41, 48, 40.8 by 6503. Rises to 480 feet below surface. This is practically our position. Altered course and went active trying to locate pinnacles. Have contact bearing 295 for 2100 yards, right where pinnacle should be. Uh, 1951, bearing 295 true, 1500 yards, mushy echo return, maybe pinnacle. Relaying this info to CL. Headed for pinnacle. Yes, that's what you want to do on a submarine drive, right towards a seamount. CL asked if we will cross it for sounding, and that we're going to do so. Came from 400 feet to 200 feet, steering 295. This posit is very close to our datum on Thresher. DD interference. CL says you'll clear him out. Lost contact on Pinnacle about 1,000 yards. Turned on fathometer. Shortly thereafter, recorded a sounding of 135 fathoms under keel. This sounding was incorrectly taken and represented a triple or third echo. 135 fathoms on a 600 fathom scale is the same as 1350 on 6,000 fathom scale. Notified CL before we realized we had the error. Williamson turned active contact again, passing over Pinnacle shortly thereafter. Continuous soundings recorded depths of 1350 fathoms only. CL says that the commander wants an accurate fix on the Pinnacle. Trying for the same. Told CL my info was at 2000 was wrong. Opened up to 1,000 yards. Made another Williamson turn. Again, active SQS for contact in the right place. Heading towards. So, if you haven't figured it out yet, they've gone from looking for the Thresher to trying to find an underwater seamount. Now, granted, for navigation purposes in this area, it is a smart thing to have the data on it. But at the same time, they're now wasting the time of the Seawolf to find this. So, slow to minimum turns for maximum opportunity to get sounding on Pinnacle. Still calling Thresher every few minutes. Send us a signal, wrap on hull, or use telephone. Send us a signal. Still heading for Pinnacle range, 525 yards, bearing north. Bangs heard on sonar to Thresher. We may hear your bangs. Repeat bang 3 times. Passed over nebulous Pinnacle. No change in soundings. To Thresher. Believe we hear you, but could not get bearing. Bang on the hull 3 times. Turn to the west to investigate DR position of double sonar contact we had from 11:52 to 12:07 this morning. It it is showing some 3,000 yards from our present position, all by dead reckoning. Still active on the SQS-4. Sonar contact bearing west at 800 yards. Went to dead slow, passed over it, but nothing changed in soundings. Make a Williamson turn, looking for sonar contact again. Have double contacts, both bearing 150. Ranges 1,000 yards and 1,900 yards, respectively. Heading towards slow to minimum turns. Passing over first contact, sounding is 13,000 fathoms. Continuing on to second. Passed over second contact, sounding 1,300 fathoms. We are just unable to explain these strange zero-speed SQS contacts unless they are fish, kelp, or some other ordinary sea phenomenon. Our SQS downward beam width, the book says that this is nil, that it is in horizontal plane, although there is bound to be some little downward spread, and we are carrying a 4-degree down bubble to search below us. Precludes a bottom contact at the ranges of 2,000 to 3,000 yards or closer. Still contacting Thresher, asking for signal, return to 400 feet. Call Thresher, ask for 3 bangs in a row. Sonar reports 3 bangs followed by 2 bangs. BQC watch is forward room. Watch is forward room. Also heard 3 distinct reps, then 2 reps after a second request from Seawolf for bangs. A minute later, the BQC watch reported that he heard rattling or rapid tapping. Heard more bangs, again called the Thresher, but no more raps. It is time to report to the commander again, or he may worry about us. We lost contact with CL while chasing pinnacles. Sending UQC message to Blandy for the task group. My time is 12:03:10 Zulu. Hold on just a second.
Yep. I've been reading other things about the 2 main believed chain of events that actually happened on the Thresher itself that are rather interesting when you start factoring in this here afterwards.
All right. And then they ended dive 3, told the commander via UQC to Blandy that Commander Packer of Sublant staff was writing us. He has been extremely helpful to the commanding officer in terms of advice in many matters, as well as being another pair of very experienced hands in helping us collect information and evaluate it. However, he rightly feels that the task group may be shorthanded in his staff and requires his help. Heading for CL to got range of bearing from Blandy to set up our UQC relay system again. Proceeded to search for datum further. Commander has told us he has no traffic for us and to continue search. Blandy reports a ship taking deep water soundings 4 miles from us on bearing of CL, steering dog leg around position. All right, new day, April 12th. Here, a rapid fathometer, probably a hydro ship. Frequency is 12 kilohertz. Unable to locate CL with UQC, she's probably searching for her assigned sector, as we are well into it now, trying to find her. At periscope depth, getting fixed so it can return to datum. Nearly at datum, ventilating, copying Fox or broadcast. Starting dive 4. Change depth to 400 feet at datum. 2 Threshers, send CW, circling over datum, continue calls every few minutes. Went active on SQS-4. Heard echo range bearing 002, classified as DD. Secure echo rangings, no contact. Echo ranging bearing 243, Still calling the Thresher on UQC, intermittently using UQC in CW mode send signal. Heard fathometer from unknown vessel in the area. Norfolk reports that Skylark may be using their fathometer. Continue searching around datum. Still calling out for Thresher on UQC. No answer, no signals. Sounding is depth. The sounding is 1,200 fathoms. Keel depth 400 feet. So, the reason why they give you the sounding in fathoms and then the depth is so you can accurately gauge where you're at in relation to the surface of the water. So, that would be, what would that be? That would be 72 feet, 7,200 feet there, plus another 400. So it would be 7,800 feet from surface water to the seafloor.
I'd say 7,200 foot. You're right.
And then at periscope depth, communicate with the commander. Survey ship in area. Survey ship in sight bearing 289 and die 4. Sent my report to the commander, lacking any type of signal on die 4. No pinnacles found. Received message saying Seawolf can cease present ops and return to New London. End narrative. And that's pretty much all that I wanted to go over on this. I don't know if you wanted to go over anything else, Jared.
No, it's just that whole, the way, just those chain events, like what the Seawolf was hearing and the way everything had played out, and then fitting that in with what we have already been historically told about what happened with the Thresher and after.
I personally stood with the historical event because there's some technical issues I think the Seawolf got wrong. I'm not necessarily faulting them.
Because given circumstances like that, you know that there's an issue with a fellow submarine. You're there to help look for them. You want to find them and save them.
There was a lot of things, because this kind of situation where things happen pretty rapidly, and there's a lot of things that I don't think Seawolf knew.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not really faulting them. At this point, let's think historically. At this point in time, Thresher class, Thresher was the Thresher class. We now know it as the Permit class. This class had been in commission for all of 3 years at this point.
Yeah,
it was a new boat.
Best. 3 at best, yeah.
Yeah, it was a new boat. It was about 2 or 3 years. There was all of 3 in commission at this point in time. They actually these were pretty revolutionary boats hardware wise. They had brand new fire control systems. They had brand new sonar systems. In fact, the sonar system used on the Permit was kind of a predecessor to the ones that were used on your and I boat, Nikki.
Yeah.
They talk about hearing the active pings. I don't think they were hearing the active pings from Thresher. Those pings were too high frequency.
So you're thinking they were hearing somebody else's?
I think there
sonar?
were maybe one possibility was maybe the Sea Owl was pinging. The Sea Owl would have had a similar sonar. The Seawolf was interpreting the sonar systems they were hearing as if the Thresher had their sonar systems.
Right.
But the boats like the Seawolf and the Nautilus and those Guppy conversions, they use mid-frequency sonar systems. The Permit class, including the Thresher, was outfitted with a low-frequency sonar system. It would have been producing very low tones.
Still powerful. Powerful, but
it would be powerful but low. So, you wouldn't be hearing your old-fashioned, high-frequency ping like you hear in movies. You'd be hearing like this whoomp type sound.
Yeah, well, and that's actually something that
it would be, and we're talking about frequencies that would be not measured in kilohertz.
Yeah, well, and that was the thing. A few times when I was underway out of Japan, I could tell the difference between one of our boats and someone else simply because of the frequency of the ping that I would hear off the hull. If it was high pitched, I knew it wasn't ours.
Yeah,
There's
So,
actually almost a whistle to the ones the Japanese use.
But we already saw that the Seawolf had misinterpreted at one point in time those, the emergency transponder for actual fathometer pings. How long had that actually been going on? The pings were too high frequency. I'm not sure they heard anything. I think they thought they heard stuff. I just don't think they actually heard the Seawolf.
From what I'm gathering, is it possibly could have just been reverb off the active pinging from the destroyers?
There's a lot of noise. They were misinterpreting.
Yeah, there's a fuck. See, that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not opposed to the Seawolf going up and saying, "Hey, everyone, shut the fuck up, so we can hear shit." Because
this is a chaotic environment.
That's a lot of fucking noise, especially however many. I don't remember how many DDs they had up there, but if they're all pinging active, you ain't gonna hear shit. You're gonna hear all their fucking active.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is the banging that they were hearing could easily be coming from one of those surface ships, somebody working on it, and just the rhythm just happens to coincide with what they're asking.
Yeah.
You
want to hear something, so you hear it, kind of concept.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
Hey guys,
confirmation bias.
I'm
gonna dip out.
Later, BM.
All right, later.
I got
Later, guys.
one little caveat to that, because what were the all right? So we had 8,000 feet sounding from the fathometers. We had 7,200 at the lowest, outside of when they're looking for the underwater mountain. But there's no sub in the past outside of a civilian sub, but as far as military goes, there's no sub that can ever go down that deep and survive. Not militarily, anyway.
Yeah, we're like hypothesizing a situation where, like, for a survival situation where, like, okay, like a permanent class had 5 watertight bulkheads. So you're assuming for even this remotely to be possible that at least the control section's bulkhead stood intact.
Yep.
And at least that would give you power, because it's also where the battery's held, because it's at the bottom of the control section's bulk compartment. So in 8,000 feet, that's unlikely. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, like when I first heard this and I first saw what Jive Turkey was saying with his video, I was like, oh man, that just pisses me off. But as I read this and started looking at it, I'm like, something just isn't adding up right, because I highly doubt that it's possible. It's plausible that it could have happened that way,
but highly unlikely.
Yeah, it's like C-3PO telling you the odds of flying through the asteroid field. Although that's
this is also where you get the second thing. Even if that situation were true, there was no rescue at that point, because
nothing could get
that
down
compartment.
there.
Well, that other thing, that compartment has no external hatches.
Yeah.
So if the other sections were flooded, you would have to open that compartment to get.
Yeah. Yeah, because at that time we didn't have anything that could have tried to even bring the remains of the hull up in as much of one piece as it was.
No.
But after I went through it, I was like, to me, it was like a whole bunch of false positives and like a lot of wishful thinking, and
that's why I had to listen to it again before this shit started. I was like, well, shit, my plans got canceled today, so I'm going to be on VTW tonight. I better listen to that again so the shit's fresh in my mind. And it's just
which is why I still am fine with the official story, It's not.
Yeah,
because I'm sorry. Test step is a thing. We do not exceed test steps. If we do, we are going to crush depth, and we're fucked at that point in time.
Yeah, and that's where the prevailing theory of what happened right now was a leak caused an electrical failure, which caused a reactor scram, and then you have the issue with the strainers preventing the emergency blow.
Yeah, they frosted over is what their belief is.
Yeah. Now, while that failure of the emergency blow not changing, the biggest alternative to it, which actually from just 8 years ago, Bruce Rule, who has been a part of the Office of Naval Intelligence as an acoustic analyst, actually started to get his hands on some of the actual SOSUS data from that time. And everything that he has evaluated and reported so far fits supporting the initial original that initial official story where there was a failure that resulted in a reactor scram, but it wasn't due to a flooding event. The biggest thing is that there wasn't any of the noise signatures or even reactions when they had communication that would indicate a flooding event having been the initial bit, but an electrical failure being the initial and causing the scram, and then a flooding happening amongst all that as they got below crush depth and then imploded right. That's more likely.
I just think it's like, the power failures could be one thing. You blowing the tanks. Really, it's like you wouldn't have realized what was happening with the tanks when it happened. That's the problem. And by the time you realized what was happening, there's really
done.
nothing you could do about it without propulsion. Because at that point in time, they would have been slipping backwards. And at the angle they were in, any air they had been blowing in their tanks just going to be bleaking out. So, yeah, it was kind of a no. You're gone at that point.
And correct me if I'm wrong. They were supposed to be on sea trials, right?
This was sea trials. This was
Sea trials is also supposed to be conducted with a minimal crew too, in case of shit like this happens.
Let's see here.
Well, they did have shipyard workers aboard. It wasn't just military people lost.
Yeah, they had 129 people aboard.
Okay, so yeah, that sounds about right with including shipyard workers and shit, making sure everything's working. Yeah, so yeah, that's about fine. That's about right. Because I'm also going off current numbers of the last ship I was on, which was the second flight 688, and we had compliments for 188. So
yeah,
that'd be pretty high. They might have still had a full. I don't know. I never looked in their whether they had their full complement aboard.
Usually for sea trials you don't, but
they don't. But like the normal complement of a permit's about 112. Like that's crew and officers.
Okay, so chain of
they had a full complement. It was just about that was basically just our junior enlisted.
So chain of events of the history of the Thresher before this, before the event in April. Let's see. While moored at Port Canaveral, Florida, the sub was accidentally struck by a tug, which damaged one of her ballast tanks. She then was repaired at Groton at EB. Thresher went south for more tests and trials off Key West. Then returned northward. The submarine entered Portsmouth July 16th, 1962, to begin a scheduled 6-month post-shakedown availability. So this was still during shakedown and everything.
Yeah.
And shortly after. To examine systems, make repairs and corrections as necessary, as is typical with a first-of-class boat. The work took longer than expected, lasting nearly 9 months. The ship was finally recertified and undocked April 8th, 1963. The testing started April 9th at 8 a.m. is when they left Kittery.
Interesting tidbit too. You know, there was still a permit class left in commission when I was in service.
Which one was that?
The Gato.
The
Gato.
Remember, Jay, he's the dot stacker. I have the nice, cool stuff that didn't require dot stacking anymore.
And by the way, back then they wouldn't have been dot stacking. Well, the Seawolf wouldn't, but the permit would have been, but the Thresher would have been, but the Seawolf wouldn't. They would have been using plotter boards. They'd been going real old school.
Hand jamming it?
Yeah.
Yep, that's what they would have been doing.
Yeah, a lot of math. Lots and lots of math.
We still learned how to do that.
Oh, yeah, so do we. We had to learn trig. We had to learn DMA.
All right, I've got to go feed horses and stuff like that, so I will catch you guys later.
Mental trig.
And with that, we are actually no games tonight because coming across that being released and finally having the time on air to go over it, I think it needed to be gone over in our reactions and people with even more direct experience getting their read of everything, and also you guys having the time over the last couple weeks to look through not just the unclassified documentation itself, but also listening to other people and taking everything in, because that is the biggest thing. Stuff like this, you have to listen and evaluate all sources. You can't dismiss something just because of the mouth that it came from.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, see, and that's why. I mean, it's nothing against Drive Turkey or anything. It's just the way he went off on it, the way he did.
Yeah. Well, you have to understand, he got that like just a couple hours
before.
Yeah.
Before.
And that's what I said, and that's why I was waiting for you and Tech to jump in on there because, yeah, I was in subs. Yes, I got a lot of the same training you guys got, but I've kind of like shooed that shit away because I don't use it in my day-to-day life.
Well, yeah, it's not that I use it in my day-to-day life either, and I'm sure Tech doesn't always either. But it's just certain things that when you're looking at the information and you're taking the time to stop, think about it, like Jared was saying, and analyzing it, you can see those inconsistencies in what is said in the reports. Because again, you want to find this information. You want to be one of those.
What I was getting at is I was wanting to take some more. I was wanting to make sure my shit was going to be on par with your guys's, not for any confirmation wise, but I want to make sure my head was in the right spot when I was going to say what I was going to say.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And then we got to find out
who does number 2 work for.
And with
the
that,
Thresher Seawolf had a problem with that. Yeah.
Yeah. With that, we're calling it a night. Everyone, enjoy, be safe, have fun out there, and enjoy what's left of your weekend.
Ring my bell to be a special subscriber.